We are back with another Paranormal set stream. And we don't have much in the Discord for today. The only thing that we have really is a bit of a question about whether the mutants should have 0/0 in their power toughness box or if it should be star star. We originally had them as star star, and then somebody made an argument that they should be 0/0, and so it was persuasive enough that we changed it, and now people are saying no, it needs to be 0/0. So star star. So I don't really know which. I don't really care which. I mean, I guess I do want it to be accurate, but the current argument being that the closest cards to our mutants in official Magic is like Primal Clay. So as it enters the battlefield, it becomes your choice of a 3/3 artifact creature, 2/2 artifact creature with flying, or 1/6 wall artifact creature with defender. And it has star star. And then the Time Spiral knockoff of this is like Primal Plasma, I think. And it is exactly the same card, but in blue instead of colorless. I guess not exactly. It's not an artifact creature. So there's that. Hello, Mechmoose. How are you doing today? Pretty good. Excellent. I am as well. Catching up on rest from work. Yeah, my last job was very, very stressful. I stopped working there about 6 months ago, and I still feel like I'm recovering. So, I don't know. It takes a while. Catching up on rest and Pokemon. Oh, yeah. I always get behind on my Pokemon, and I'm like, just need some more Pokemon. No, I have not played much Pokemon in recent years. I played a little in high school when my friend gave me a Game Boy Advance with a Leaf Green because I'd never really played Pokemon, but that's about all I've played. Okay, well, I'm at this point, I don't remember what was the convincing evidence for these to be 0/0. It's been a while. I don't remember. So I'm willing to change them based on the evidence of Primal Clay / Primal Plasma, but I also don't, want to dismiss whatever it was that caused us to change it in the first place. Hello, Tessa. Tessa's the friend in question who gave me a Game Boy and Pokemon Leaf Green just so that I would play some Pokemon. How's it going, Tessa? Okay, I was thinking that since we were having so much fun, you did teach me about the Admiral. The best Pokemon in the whole game. Admiral Baggy. They always call it by the wrong name in game, which is weird, but I just wanted to look at the image, have that sort of be our mascot, but seems it's not to be. Let's see. Okay, so I was thinking that since we were having so much fun coming up with ideas for potential like weird partner stuff, why don't we just on stream do some fun partner stuff? So let's see. One idea that we had was a partner with self. And also, hello, weird. I want to go under this, but not into flavor text. It will not let me do that. It literally will not let me do that. Okay, well we're gonna stop. There we go. And grandeur. I've always wanted to make a pilot that has partnered with a legendary vehicle. That's pretty cool. Stop it. Go away. Nobody wants you here. The partner rules appear to be kind of messed up on at least my version of Magic Set Editor. Okay, so partner with legendary vehicle, that's pretty sweet. So I was thinking maybe the partner with stuff should be one of the cards in question should be in the case file, and one should be in the main set. So you have to get something from each. That could be cool. So what sort of legendary vehicle would make sense in a sort of, I don't know, Victorian England style city where a bunch of weird paranormal things are happening? Wouldn't the partners always have to be in the same pack too? That is how Battle Bond did it. We do not necessarily have to do it that way. Oh, a mech moose. That could be cool. So you got like the legendary creature that pairs with it could be like a Mountie. So then you play your Mountie and you go find a mechanical moose for it to ride. Yeah, so Cyber 5, Battle Bond made sure that all of the, if you had a partner with creature, the other creature that it partnered with was in the same pack, which was super cool. But it was a two-headed giant draft set. And how two-headed giant draft works is you get two draft picks at the same time. Technically, you pick one and your partner picks one, and then you pass it. So you can take both of the partner with cards at the same time. If you don't have that option available, it's a lot less thrilling to have both partners in the same pack because... Great, you take one and you're like, well, I guess I probably won't wheel the other because somebody is going to hate draft this from me because they know I took it. So then you just don't have the certainty of, oh, these were both in the pack. You know, you can take one. Nobody knows that you took one. Maybe they'll pass you the other one later. Hello, Mars. How are you doing today? We are looking at partner stuff. Because we got pretty excited a couple sessions ago about making stuff, and then I forgot to do it last time. So I was like, let's just make some partner cards. The obvious go-to is to have a train, but MTG has lots of those. Also, THG draft is so much fun. I'm not sure I know what THG is. But it's also uncertain if you'll even get the other partner too, so it's kind of iffy. I agree. So we don't want the cards to be unplayable on their own. Oh, three-headed giant? Like a team draft? Or is it really just like two-headed giant but with 3 people? I've never done that. Or 2, whichever you prefer. Okay. Yeah, I really liked Battle Bond. I only got to draft it once or maybe twice, but it was a lot of fun. Can you suplex the train? I don't get that reference, but seems like Tessa does. Depends on if we put out muscle in the set. Okay, hold on. Let me take a look at out muscle. Okay, that's what I thought that was. Oh, it's an old Final Fantasy reference. Got it. I'm sorry. I've really never gotten into Final Fantasy. I played a little bit of 13 back in high school, and that was it. I also got Final Fantasy VII on Steam, and I couldn't do it. I think it's one of those things where, like, if you originally played the game, it's fine, you know how to play it, but it was just, like, too much for me to, like, try and go back in time to learn how to play that game. 13 wasn't out in high school? I believe it was our senior year. I'm pretty sure that I played it on, like, somebody's PS3. I could be wrong. I clearly don't know Final Fantasy very much. Okay. I don't know. What's a PS3? I believe you probably know better than I do. However, I remember playing it, and I remember playing it in my room in high school. So I don't know. Maybe it was 12. I don't think so. I also, growing up, when I was really little, my parents wouldn't let us have video games. Eventually they relented, but the systems that we got just happened to all be Nintendo, and that trend continued. So I don't think Final Fantasy's on Nintendo, so I just never even had really the opportunity to get those games. Oh, okay, see, I'm not crazy. Okay, how many trains do we have? 1. I'm going to say a minecart does not count as a train. Freighter, kind of? I'm not sure. It looks like it's on a track. But it's like a single car by itself. I guess it's a renegade freighter, that makes sense. So yeah, it's probably meant to be part of a train. And untethered express. So 3. I just feel like a lot of the ether vehicles felt train-like. No, that's fair. Type vehicle set ether revolt. Yeah, I mean, like this one's a boat. This one's like a drag racer. Tank. Dropship. I don't know. So like you technically have trains, but also, I don't know. Make a lead Zeppelin. That's cute. Would a train maybe get a bonus if you have it being crewed by a chain of other vehicles? That is awesome. Main problem being, are we going to have a lot of other vehicles in the set? Legendary caboose. I don't know. I'm envisioning something like this. I mean, something like UFO would also make sense for the set too. Oh, that's a good point. We had a UFO. We definitely want a UFO. Probably in the case files. I think we had a design for it and it just wasn't very good, so I didn't put it in. But you're right, we definitely need a UFO. Let me go check the cards cut from the case files just to see. It would be just an FO if you identify it. That's a good point. Or maybe an IFO? Okay, yeah, we did have one in the case file before. 4/5 for 3 flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, bounce a target creature that they control. So like you're abducting the creature. Tap 2 untapped colorless creatures to make it an artifact creature until end of turn. So you crew it by tapping 2 colorless things. Those could be the construct tokens. Those could be undercover creatures. You don't really know. So it must have ward then. Keep it unidentifiable. Oh, that's reasonable. Whenever card name becomes tapped, target creature gains haste and first strike until end of turn. Then when it pilots the vehicle, you can swing it straight away. Ah. For the other half. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But still useful without a vehicle. Yeah, that reads a little awkward. Because if we make like pilot dude. Let's see. So I don't know. Who cares? It has power. It's a creature, pilot. You know, it's probably red or something. So this reads as whenever card name becomes tapped, target creature gains haste and first strike until end of turn. This specific wording doesn't work because when you tap it to crew the vehicle, the activated ability to make the vehicle into a creature is still on the stack. So it's not a creature, so this won't target your vehicle. We could fix that, though. We could find another way to word it. You could say target creature or vehicle. Not sure. I think if it's a subtype, it needs to be capitalized. Then this feels a little weird if you're not crewing because you attack with it, and then, oh, target creature gains haste. Cool. But I can't attack with that creature because I've already attacked now. So, I like the idea. We'll just need to find a new way to word it. Cyber5 says, I think my idea would be when card name dies, if it was a creature, tutor for an artifact and put it onto the battlefield. So like it crashes and you get the alien technology. Yeah, I was just trying to think of something that works without just vehicles. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm not saying your idea is bad. I'm just saying it doesn't quite work, so we'll need to tweak it. But I like the idea. Okay, so it sounds like these are two different ideas: alien ship crashing and the pilot with their legendary vehicle or whatever. At Cyber 5, the pilot or the vehicle, the pilot already tutors with the partner mechanic. I think Cyber 5 is talking about the UFO, hence the if it was a creature clause. Now this circumvents all mana cost, as is. Put it into play. That is, put it onto the battlefield. There we go. So we'll need to make sure that it's costed appropriately. Maybe it could be made blue as well. Okay. That would help with just making colorless tutoring for artifacts available to any color. Like maybe blue, blue, blue for a 4/3 with flying. Okay, so it's super blue. Ward 2 or 3. Do we want to add a new basic type? Or new super type? Instead of snow, now we have space. Safer for the Ward 2. I don't think it needs that many blue pips. Okay, so 4/3 for 3. Crew 3. Infinity might take offense to us making space lands. We can do what we want. We don't have to. It's like, it's not a big deal either way. It's just a potential suggestion. Flying Ward 2. So then we'll need to make sure that there's some artifact cards in the set worth tutoring out. Partners usually don't share a color is all, and having 3 blue pips and then another color means you have to run exactly those colors for them. Can't splash one in the deck for the other partner. Okay, so Mech Moose, I think we might be on different pages. I was saying that it seems like based on what Cyber 5 is saying, their suggestion for this card is that it's not a partner card, just that it is a vehicle by itself. And then I was saying that your idea, like we can still have your idea as well, but that it's something completely different. Or that's my understanding. Not sure if I want the mana to be too loose. It could be edging on the line of making it like Tinker. Okay, do we want to up the cost? $4, $5. Yeah. Now remember, this can die in combat as well. It doesn't just have to be destroyed. But So there is another way for this to trigger. I mean, we could also just completely take off the ward, since you may not care if it dies. I guess you have to be careful with exploit too, now that I think about it. Yeah, I mean, you could play a 3-power exploit creature, use that to crew this, sack it, and then immediately tutor out any artifact. Okay, well, how about we can make this a lot easier if we just do search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Instead of putting it into play, you can just tutor it up. And then that doesn't let you bypass the mana requirement. What do we think? Perhaps maybe make it 4/4 to make up for a bit. Sure, that works for me. Yeah, I agree. Tinker is a dangerous card to reprint. So I am definitely on board with fixing that. Even though we probably don't have anything quite that gross. Probably not, but still. Okay, so how do we feel about this? Well, it is also already an artifact, so it's kind of redundant. Well, the idea being that this is hinting at potential other space cards. We wouldn't actually have any in the set, so yes, it would be redundant. But it would be like future-proofing if we were to make space cards in any set in the future. That said, I don't know that we can actually make space a thing. Because, like, meteorite's just a normal artifact, so I don't know. Though if we made a space land too, what would the mana symbol for it be? I'm sure we could come up with something. Obviously, that meteorite isn't it's in space at the time of the picture. That makes sense. You're right. Yeah, I'm thinking like, yeah, it could be a star. It could be like a shooting star. Like a meteorite that's actually got the trail behind it, although trails actually point the other way, but whatever. But just the silhouette of that, obviously, since that's sort of like how the snow symbol is. I think that's how the snow symbol is. Yeah, just black and white. Steal the Secret Lair logo. Yes. Okay, well, we probably don't need to waste too much time on that. I don't know. How do we like this card in general? It's definitely resonant. Flavorfully. It's like, that's a UFO. That said, we currently already have our blue rare slots filled, so yeah, it's fine. It's interesting. Is it interesting enough for what we're trying to do? Okay, well, we can think about it. It's flavorful but not amazing, just a simple tutor with extra steps. Yeah. I don't know. We can definitely keep it for now. Okay, and then Mech Moose, let's start working on your partner with a legendary vehicle. That sounds pretty cool. Where's the... There we go. Maybe make it a monkey pilot and the vehicle a test spaceship. That's kind of cool. Which, okay. Monkey pilot is amazing as a creature type. All right, all right. Well, there's already a monkey pirate. Yeah, so it looks like most monkeys are green, but there's a couple red ones. Oh, and one black one. So, do we want this to be green? Do we want it to be red? Monkeys don't have a lot of precedence. They're mostly apes in MTG. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they've errated all of the apes to be monkeys. Say red, it's better for pilots. It's true. It's more usual for pilots. But are we going for more usual? Yep, there's no green ones or blue ones so far. Or I guess... Oh, this isn't really a pilot. They've just errated it to be a pilot because it says pilot. Nothing stopping it from being two-color. Potentially. The only thing stopping it from being two-color would be our two-color slots, which is, in the case files, we have one gold rare for each color pair. And then in the main set, we have one signpost uncommon, one signpost rare. So we would need to find space for it based on its color pair. Okay, so this would have partner with And then okay, for now we'll just name the vehicle Sputnik. And then this can partner with Sputnik's a cool name for a monkey, though. Well, I don't know that we'll want to use the actual name Sputnik for anything, since it's maybe a little too close to real-world stuff. But we can make that the code name if you wanted. Okay, so they're both legendary. Which means they're both at least uncommon. We haven't quite gotten to the point of common legendaries yet. Although I wonder, you know, what with them making uncommon legendaries, how long is it going to be until they, like, downshift one of those to common as a reprint in, like, a, you know, double masters type set? Common legendaries. It could happen. Okay, so we really don't need the first part, which is you can have two commanders if both have partner. However, the only part that it wants to remove is the second part, which is really unfortunate. So how about we just get rid of all of this? It won't let us. Cool. I'm going to have a talk with the keywords portion of this set. I might have to go into the file and change it. Okay, so we need a vehicle and a pilot that does cool things with a vehicle. I mean, it kind of already exists. Is a commander and rarity equals common. Oh, gotcha. Masters Edition. Ah, this one was actually printed as a common. Good point. Okay, so Homelands. And then, yeah, a bunch of Legends from Legends reprinted in an online-only set. So I probably would not count those, but yeah, definitely Chandler, Joven, and... Oh, I know there's a third red one from Homelands like that, but it must not be common. So Homelands has that going for it. That's about it. Try hitting the star when you're over the word partner and not the reminder text. All right, let's find out. When you're over the word partner. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so I guess because it's a two-part mechanic, there's reminder text after this part and after this part. No. Excellent. Thank you for helping me out with that. It still has the problem that it will not let me, like, this has to be the last thing in the text box no matter what. Let me see what happens if I get rid of it, write a few things, and then come back and re-add it. Nope. It has to be the last thing in the text box. So I guess what we're going to have to do is add it back in, copy the text, then remove it, then paste the text, and then we can go after. Well, yeah, I don't know why. I reinstall this thing regularly because it always gets like this. And it always gets buggy again. I don't think it's my fault. I think it's just how it is, but I don't know what to do. I guess I just reinstall again. Okay, so you can tutor up your vehicle. So clearly this creature needs to have enough power to partner the vehicle. To crew the vehicle that it partners with. That makes sense to me. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of that and paste. Actually, this needs to say Sputnik. Crew Monkey 0. What's the text for crew? Tip any number of monkeys you control with total power 0 or greater. Do you still have to tap one monkey to do it? Didn't they technically show that that doesn't work in Crimson Vow? It would be an activated ability that isn't actually crew. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. I'm not sure that's quite the same thing. But yeah, we could just make it 1. I do kind of like the idea of like a specific type of crew. We might want to make sure that we include some other monkeys in the set just to make sure that it can work. Okay. Where would abilities go? Oh, partner with. Oops. Okay. Okay, keyword abilities go after the partner with ability. And I believe crew tends to go last anyway, so like flying, because it's a space vehicle, right? Could have a big regular crew cost as well. It does feel like it's adding a lot to it, though. Like, I know that we could remove the reminder text on one of them. But can we, though? Because if we have 2 different types of crew, it would help to distinguish what the difference between them is. Or just give it a monkey-themed ability. If card name was crewed by a monkey, roll a 6-sided die. On a 1, sacrifice card name and deal 5 damage to any target. Oh my. Okay, only one of the unmonkeys rolls a die. So it's not a given. That's a lot. I don't know that I want to add that to here. Monkey see, monkey crew. You can't tell me monkeys can pilot a spaceship well. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you that. I was thinking about it being like flying, haste, trample. When card name attacks, sacrifice it at end of turn. I was thinking of having it be something like that. And then just like a 6-3 or something. crash into the opponent. Actually, it doesn't even need to have low toughness if it's going to kill itself at end of turn. But this is a lot of text for a card that is like kind of fun, but does it really play that well? Then sacrifice all monkeys you control. It's basically a lightning ball. I mean, that's kind of what it is right now, yeah. Harder to use ball lightning. I mean, easier to cast, but you need a monkey. Okay, well, I don't know. We know it needs flying. We could just make it big. Oops. I don't know, maybe the monkey really does well. Does a good job. Maybe it's a good monkey. Or maybe some of its abilities come from being crewed by the partner. Because it's a pilot. What's the wording on the pilots? Type pilot. Okay, whenever card name crews a vehicle. That vehicle... Destroy that vehicle at end of turn. Okay, that does make me think this is probably red. But it's like a 3-1 defender. The monkey gives it trample and plus 3/0, but makes it a ball lightning. Okay. That vehicle gets trample. Hold on. Gets plus 3 plus 0 and gains trample until end of turn. Destroy that vehicle at end of turn. And then it's... I don't know, like a 3/2 for 3. How do we feel about that? How very is it? So notably right now, the monkey is surviving. I kind of like it being a 1 mana 2/1 or 1/1. Okay, I wanted it to be a bit bigger because, well, maybe 2 power is enough. I just want it to be able to crew other vehicles. Not that we're planning to have a ton of other vehicles. Also, notably, this works with the UFO. It destroys the UFO at end of turn, which will tutor up an artifact. The vehicle probably doesn't need crew monkey in that case. You can use it as a huge hitter with the monkey once, though. That's a fair point. Yeah, you don't need to say that you have to use a monkey on this because you don't. It's just they work well together because you're already going to be like, if you draw one, you draw the other. Okay, make it a bear then. So 2 mana. But when you build your commander deck, you're going to want it to crash or pilot more vehicles. Yeah, so makes sense. I think that, yeah, it probably should survive. But we could make this one. Funnily, he can only get the vehicle once in commander since the vehicle can't actually be a commander. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, he just tutors it out of your deck. Yeah, I mean, we could put the text "can be your commander" on this guy, but the problem with that is just the problem WotC's run into, which is like, it's really, really weird for there to be a random card in a random premiere set that says, this could be your commander. Honestly, not sure if these fit the weirdness of the case file so far. I mean, weird-wise, yeah, they're maybe not weird enough for this, but like neither is the UFO. What does the UFO do that's weird? Yeah. So like I'm all for the stuff being weird. I just want to make sure that it's, yeah. Right now we're just designing cards, but it has space. Well, I took off the space because I didn't feel like people were particularly excited about that, but I could be wrong. Can artifacts die? I don't think so. Philosophical. What if enchantments is put into a graveyard from the battlefield? Is destroyed. That's a good question. Do they use that? Oh, is destroyed. No, I don't think so. Non-creature permanents can die. Next case file. Nice. I think it would work, Mech Moose. It wouldn't work with, like, if it were a creature and then had its power and toughness negged to, well, toughness negged to 0, it would not be destroyed, but it would still die. Actually, I guess this becomes a creature, so it can die. Destroy target non-permanence. Okay. So what this is doing is kind of letting you use it perpetually in Commander. I don't know if that sort of play pattern would be fun. I guess each time you would still have to replay your Commander, so it's a literal recoverable vehicle. Yeah. So I think we wanted to have the same crew cost as Sputnik's power. Obviously, it partners with Sputnik. It's a space vehicle, so it needs flying. And then this is so that in Commander, you can get it back. How do we feel about that? Crew 2. Man, this is powerful, though. Let's compare it to other similar vehicles. Like Heart of Quran is... Let's see. Type, vehicle... Oh, flying. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, Mech Moose. Because Heart of Quran, let's see, that's a 4-4 for 2 with crew 3, and it was very, very good. I guess it was very, very good because you can also crew it with your planeswalkers. It's a 7-4 ball lightning for 4 mana. If you can get both halves. And I'm stressing that because, again, we're not in a situation where... I don't think we're planning to make sure these are in the same pack because that just doesn't really make any sense. So I think I agree it's too cheap, but I just want to be clear that it's not a guarantee you'll get these two together. It's also recursive. Potentially. In Limited, it's only as recursive as the number of these that you have. So I guess you can... If you start with this one, you can play this, tutor up Sputnik. And then, well, you'd have to wait for this to die. Then you could play Sputnik to tutor this up again. So otherwise, if you want to be more recursive, you need multiple copies of Sputnik. It also needs haste, but constructed is a thing too. I thought about haste. We could give it haste, but we definitely increase the cost. 3 mana makes it more fair. Fleist. We can also move it up to rare if it's too strong at uncommon. Monkey makes it flample. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the weird part of putting this in involuntary pilot. I'm also thinking of something else that could be in the case file too. What could be the enchantment equivalent of a vehicle? There were a bunch of enchantments a long time ago that turned into creatures once you met a certain condition. One of them used to be pretty early on in just the list of all cards. Theros gods are vehicles confirmed. Oh, yeah, the Theros gods. That makes sense. Now I'm just trying to think of... the one I'm looking for. There was one in the new set with new Theros with Constellation. Becomes creature. I think I was thinking of Opal Guardian. I'm not sure why I thought that it started with an A. No. Must have been... I don't know. It was one of these Opal dudes, probably. Basically, under a certain condition, it becomes a creature. Unless that was an artifact. Let's see. Set. Theros Beyond Death. Constellation. You could be thinking about just like answered prayers. Whenever it's creature fall, it becomes a 3/3. That might be it. I thought it was an enchantment fall for some reason. Fair enough. Okay. So I guess I really like the design of this Sputnik plus Type 1 spacecraft. My main concern with it at this moment is not even that it's not weird enough. I think it's pretty awesome, and I would love to include it. My concern with it is that the case files are specifically meant for phenomena that the organization has discovered and categorized. Cataloged, I guess. So one of these, if we're wanting one in the case file, one in the main set, then one of them has to be a like paranormal phenomenon, because they're only in the case file if that is what they are. Current flavor of this is that it was built by them, so that means that it needs to be probably not in the case files, because it's not a paranormal phenomenon, it's something they created, which would mean that the monkey needs to be in the case files. But the monkey seems more universally helpful. Maybe not. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 2, and I was thinking we could put another vehicle in the set to make it better. Maybe the Type 1 spacecraft can go in the main set. The monkey is probably more suited to the case file, if only because you won't have a lot of vehicles. Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, and then the other potential issue is just like having partner with as a mechanic in the main set feels a little weird. I might be willing to stretch that rule specifically for partner with, because we know that we wanted something really fun for partner with. So do we like this design? Cyber 5 is on it. Yeah. I like the design, but I don't know if I'm 100% convinced we need it in the case files. Okay. So we can leave it as an for now. Okay, did we want to do more like... Also, I did have this idea come to mind too. Contingency clone. When an enchanted creature dies, contingency clone becomes a copy of that creature. It's still an enchantment. Alchemist says, I'm kind of the same. They're really fun together. Alone, it's a lot less interesting to pull one. Probably should have it stop being an aura too. Yeah, definitely needs to stop being an aura. It's kind of cool. I always liked the idea of... I saw a design that somebody made that was just... It was like a 1 mana enchantment or artifact or something, and it was just like a memorial. It enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature from a graveyard, except it's an artifact. So, you're just getting the abilities that the creature has that are still relevant on an inanimate object. So it's pretty cool. I like that sort of design, and this is pretty similar to that. Isn't it basically a color shifted version of a really common black effect? Yeah, kind of. Instead of so you're talking about Undying Malice type effects. Undying Malice being our current iteration of it. Just 1 mana instant. When it dies, bring it back tapped with a +1/+1 counter. Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. Also thinking that maybe we could make a clone that only copies auras in white, too. Minions Return is the best one. I think I know what that one is. Yeah. Yeah, the one from Theros Beyond Death. Because it is an aura. So triggers all your constellation. And because you can hit the opponent's stuff. Right, that was it. I was originally going to say, ooh, the upside of this one is it has flash. But you know what else you can play at instant speed is Undying Malice. But yes, so the cool part is, yeah, stealing your opponent's stuff was really awesome. I didn't get to play too much black in that set, so I didn't play that one very much. I just played a lot of green-blue Constellation, and it was a lot of fun. I liked that set. I run it in Commander to counter board wipes. Oh, I mean, that's pretty cool. Steal your opponent's, massive threat, and then... Yeah. You're one of the first ones to untap with it. That seems pretty awesome. Maybe I'll have to do that more. I don't have a... I do a lot of monocolor decks, but I don't have a black one yet, so maybe I'll see about throwing that one in when I do make one. Seems really good. Okay, I do agree Contingency Clone is really expensive. So it's 5 mana for 1/1, for +1/+1, and then when the creature dies, you, basically just get kind of a... I mean, potentially good, potentially bad version of Undying Malice. It can be good if the creature is an enchantment and not a creature, because then you just get the abilities and they're hard to remove. But it could be bad because it's just you usually, pay 1 mana for this effect. Do Turgid? I did. Everyone hates me. Well, to be fair, I think Turgid is an awesome, commander to build. I would love to build it if it wouldn't make everybody hate me. And... I also am a bit of a hipster, so if it's too popular, I don't really want to do it. I do have a couple really popular commanders, but I didn't necessarily realize at the time that they were, so I'd already built them by the time I was like, oh, yeah, Muldrotha has millions of decks, but whatever. I just love that Undying Malice uses pseudo-undying. Yeah, I just realized that the other day. That's pretty cool. The only difference is, it brings the creature back tapped, which Undying doesn't do. But just for for balance purposes, I think that makes sense. But yeah, dies, comes back with a +1/+1 counter. Love it. I hate that the actual card Undying has nothing to do with Undying. Oh, is it from like one of the original sets when they didn't have... I don't see a card just called Undying. Yeah, Turgid's probably not the best commander to use. Turgid's Lantern, however... yeah. Sorry, not Undying, the other one. Oh, Persist? Okay, you hate that it has... I mean, I wouldn't say this has nothing to do with Persist. It still brings the creature back with a -1/-1 counter. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't like give them Persist and instant speed. And it cannot work on legendaries. But yeah. Which is why I don't like custom cards that use magic slang as part of their names, but not the mechanic they're related to. I agree, but on the other hand, there's so many mechanics. You know, you might not realize that you're infringing upon a name. Or just like even accepted slang if you go even farther, you know. You just might not know. So I agree, I try to avoid it, but it can be difficult because there's so many words that have attached rules meaning. Also, nobody wants to reprint Devour. The card Devour. I assume it... Well, it's probably doesn't have a... It's probably not a creature, so it probably doesn't have Devour. Okay. I also do not see a card just named Devour. So maybe you do mean the mechanic. It's mainly Ritual that I see all the time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Rituals should make mana. But, you know, that's not like a named mechanic. So because they don't make many Rituals anymore, people may not know that a Ritual is a spell that makes extra mana. I mean, Grizzly Ritual, though, is an official card now, and it doesn't make mana. I mean, putting Devour in names is common, but the mechanic is really jank compared to modern staples. I think it's a fine mechanic. I don't know if it has, like, that much more design space for customs. I don't know. Could make a card with Devour food, potentially. I mean, that makes sense. We do have a common in the set that makes food. That makes 3 food. And there's not a bunch of things that work with it. So we could potentially put something in the case files to help it out. That said, I am also going further. I guess you can also have triggers if you devour particular types. Yeah, I guess you probably could. Huh. I'm not sure that I realized Devouring Hellion effectively has Devour too. So, they did reprint Devour relatively recently. Or Devour Human. Oh, Devour Human could be great. I like that a lot, actually. We have lots of humans in the set. There's one for goblins, too, isn't there? There's Prosh, Sky Raider of Kur, who eats the kobolds of Kur Keep. Let's see. Okay. part of the problem is that there's all these devourers that do not have devour. So yeah, I see the problem. Oh, yeah, you're right. Voracious Dragon. Enters the battlefield and deals damage to target creature or player equal to twice the number of goblins it devoured. So, yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay, so two things I really want to do. I really like the idea of a partner with self that also has grandeur. Because I love grandeur. I think it's a really fun mechanic, and they're not really ever going to reprint it again because it doesn't work in Commander. So why would you have a legendary creature ability that doesn't work in Commander? Yeah, so there's 5. There was a cycle of 5 of them in Future Sight. So discard another card named. Card name. Should also have a name like X, his own worst enemy. Let's see. All right, so we don't want that worded. We want that worded, but we can't because it's janky. So I will remove it from there and then paste. Delusions of grandeur. Grandeur plus madness. So then we have to have it do something sweet, right? We also want to flavor it as something weird, something paranormal. What would be a creature that tutors up more of itself and then discards more of itself? Doppelganger, there's lots of them, but you only ever see the one. Maybe I'll keep thinking. Okay. I appreciate the suggestion. Puzzle. Maybe someone assassinating their own clone? Ah, yes. What's it called? Suigenocide. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, doesn't seem like it's a thing that's online, which means probably most people don't know it, but I do. There's a book, there's like a humorous book that I have that talked about how there were infinite universes, and in each one, there was Bruce Lee, and he was traveling between the different universes, searching for every Bruce Lee. And every time he would meet one, he'd kill the Bruce Lee and absorb his power. And all the Bruce Lees were doing this, so it eventually got to the point where there was only one Bruce Lee left, and it was called suigenocide because you're killing every version of yourself. What was that movie about the clones going after their originals? The Island is a movie about clones realizing that they are just organ cattle, I guess. That's the only one that I can think of. That's not quite what you're talking about, so I'm not sure. It's maybe somebody time traveling to assassinate themselves, causing a paradox. The movie is called The One with Jet Li. Oh, is this a real movie? It's Jet Li, not Bruce Lee. Apologies. Wow. Okay, so this is a real movie. I did not realize that. It was basically the plot of this movie was summarized in this comedy book that I read. That sounds awesome. I think I wondered if it was real. I will have to watch that because that sounds awesome. I've actually been meaning to watch a lot of these movies, Jet Li, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, because that seems like a type of movie that I would really like, but I've never taken the time to actually watch. So, and then I would actually know the difference between Jet Li and Bruce Lee. Okay, well, I guess let's take a look at what are the other grandeur abilities that have been used. So, Oris prevents all damage dealt to target creature this turn. That sounds like a nightmare for limited. And then Grandeur, discard. Oh, yeah, obviously. Grandeur, target player can't play spells this turn, and creatures that player controls can't attack this turn. So basically, you're just muting the opponent for one turn. That part does seem fair. Although I wasn't playing during that standard, I don't know. Linessa can just bounce things every turn. Discard. Grandeur, target player returns a creature they control to its owner's hand, then repeats the process for an artifact, enchantment, and land. So bounce one of everything to your hand. If I was allowed to make the card a Hydra, its Grandeur trigger could be to double the counters on it, eating its own heads to endlessly grow, but that's not really on theme for the set. Well, we have the... I don't hate that, but the problem is that we already have Hydras both in the case file and in the main set. So I think we're probably at our Hydra limit. Okay, so we've got Grandeur to silence an opponent, Grandeur to make them bounce one of everything they control, Grandeur to search for 2 basic swamp cards, put them into play, Grandeur to... we already have doubling the size of the creature. So this is kind of redundant. I would like for it to be a unique ability. I did wonder while I was writing it if it was one of these. And then Baru is Grandeur, create an XX, where X is the number of lands you control. Put that on the Hydra shortlist. I mean, Hydra is in an X cost creature more than the actual type. Gotcha. Oh, you know what? Didn't they make a common creature just... Sorry, this is going back to when I said, oh, they'll have common legendary creatures. They made one just last year. Sorry, that's a complete aside, but I just thought of it. Okay. It's not common. I guess not technically. It's a special rarity. It is purple there. It's land rarity, you could say. Fair enough. Okay, so not a common. Still. I mean, in that case, it's kind of a super common. Bottom left corner doesn't have a C. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it has an S. Okay, good call. Okay, so we already have a card that is flavored as a human, just a normal human that everybody else is turning into copies of. So that doesn't work here. Okay, I think it just needs to have a really cool grandeur ability. Actually, if it's mythic, no. We want it to be uncommon so you can actually get multiple copies unlimited, potentially. Well, if we're not having good ideas right now, we may need to come back to this one. I do really like the concept of partner with self plus grandeur. I think that's awesome. Whenever another creature you control named card name dies, do something on the legendary creature is kind of funny. Yeah, so that would be instead of grandeur, we would just have that ability. That is pretty cool. Grand grandeur as opposed to boring grandeur. Yes. Border, as they say, instead of grandeur. Maybe if I give it a color, it'll help me process, come up with ideas. Basically turns the copies into sorceries. Yeah. Yeah, although, come to think of it, you could just do that with when dude ETB effect. Because then you could just play them, get the effect, and then they die. It's not nearly as cool that way. So I like what you're thinking. It could be like... untap all lands you control. I don't know. Is that fancy enough? And also, is it fair? Then you play a Sakashima and sacrifice all 4 of them at the same time for 12 triggers. That sounds pretty good. Not sure what flavor it would be, though. Yeah, we definitely need to work on that. I think it's a really cool idea, but yeah, definitely needs some better flavor and definitely needs probably a better grandeur ability. But yeah, I think this design is really contingent on the flavor because we know what we want most of the mechanics to be. Partner with itself plus grandeur. So then we just need something really cool here. And I think that's contingent on flavor. So I'm going to get some more water and go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute or two. So feel free to workshop this card or work on other stuff or just wait for me to come back. Be right back. Jerry could have a grandeur ability copying another creature, so all his copies turn into clones of other creatures. Can you add a mana cost to the grandeur ability? Not entirely sure how it works. Could be a guy planting clones or duplicates into society, or something disguising them as other people. I think you could. I think the main factor in grandeur is discard another card named this card. I think that you could definitely add a mana cost to the ability if you wanted. You know, something like that. Alternatively, a legendary that partners with a basic land, but when a player searches their library, they are punished. Put it in white. Or it could be, let's see. Oops. That wouldn't be untap all lands you control. It would be, That last one is half a joke since you can't put partner with on a basic land. It would have to be on an entirely separate ability. Well, actually, we talked about having one-way partner, and I don't see any reason why you couldn't do it. So you just have a card that says partner with forest. I don't know if it would need to be worded as basic forest. I don't know. So partnered with does say you can have two commanders if both have partner. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to use a basic land as commander anyway. But I don't see any reason why you couldn't have, when this permanent enters the battlefield, target player may put a basic forest into their hand from their library, then shuffle. Like, I get that. Yeah, in the past, the only partner with that they've done is just two cards that partner with each other. But I don't think it would have to be that way. It would be like a bit of a weird jump to do it differently, but weird jumps is what I'm all about. As long as it makes a cool design in the end that still works in the rules. Although I'm willing to fudge the rules a little bit under the right circumstances. What about a legendary land with grandeur? Oh, that's kind of cool. Where'd it go? There we go. All lands are islands. Grandeur. Target creature gains island walk until end of turn. Also, the ability should tap too. Oh, well, there you go. You could just do that. Tap, discard another card named card name. So then you're not actually gaining mana out of the deal. Doesn't feel like something a legendary land should do. Does grandeur necessarily have to be on the legendary card? Flavorfully, that's the intention. Mechanically, there's no reason why that has to be the case. Not no reason. I mean, the idea was that it gives you an alternate use for your legendary cards that you can't play to the field. Yeah, I was thinking that it would put you up a mana, since you're discarding a card. But still, you look at this and you're like, oh, is this a legendary land? It taps to add 1 mana, or maybe I can discard a card to get 2 mana? Like, it's a natural progression. I think mechanically it makes sense. It just flavorfully, it doesn't seem to work. You want to do something exciting. Not great for draft unless you get like quite a few of them. Yeah. And they're uncommons in the case file. So while I think that we can assume we could put grandeur on a card in the case files, it would have to be an uncommon so that there's the possibility that you find 2, potentially even 3. Especially if they get good with themselves and people don't take the first one, then they're like, well, I don't want later ones, so maybe they'll just all come to you. So you could potentially get 2 or 3, but we do really want it to do something pretty cool. Still, it has to be balanced. All cards in hand become copies of Simeon Spirit Guide. So this would let it permanently tap for more mana. Maybe it should have the tap ability? New Proliferate, obviously. This may just be too strong for commander decks, but it is only adding colorless, so it's not like it's going to do much in Atraxa. So there's at least a little bit of restraint on it. So this, yeah, I agree. This could definitely be too good. Because as soon as you proliferate, this is just adding even more mana. But that does feel legendary, right? I'm really tempted to make this like a rare because it feels rare now. But you're not going to be able to get multiples of it in limited, which is kind of the point of our grandeur ability. So, I mean, I think for any like given old mechanic, we probably only want one card with that mechanic in the case file. So it would be like between this or Jerry or anything else that we've come up with. That might be it so far. Like colorless artifact Eldrazi decks would have this card be insane. That's a good point. How much proliferate do you have in colorless decks, though? I guess you have charge counters shenanigans. Like, I'm not going to be able to think of the card name now. Is it Repository? No. Is it... Well, it's from New Phyrexia, Rarity Uncommon, type artifact. So that'll narrow it down, I think. Surge Note. Core Tapper. Oh yeah, that's just the one that you sacrifice to put a charge counter on something, right? I want one for 2. Oh, tap. Tap to put 1 charge counter. Sack to put 2 charge counters. Yeah, I mean, I could make it its own type of counter, so you can't do artifact shenanigans. You'd still be able to do proliferate shenanigans. Yeah, I was just thinking particularly of one. Is it unfair, though? I don't know. Potentially. Potentially broken in EDH. Also, is it really a legendary land? Flavorfully. Meh. I don't know. I think it's a cool design. I don't know if it's really a good design. Okay. I've just seen decks be bad enough with just Tron lands. I think Changing charge counters to some other counter would solve a lot of its issues, though. Okay. With a distortion counter. I don't know. The flavor in my head is that this is like, it's a land that looks like it's just nice and tiny and small, and then you walk through it, and then like it takes you forever to get from one end to the other because it's bigger than it looks like. So then you'd still be able to proliferate, but you wouldn't have the colorless charge counter stuff going on. That one, that one. Proliferate decks have enough that's already good. This wouldn't impact that much. Colorless lands in 4-color decks, as you said, can only do so much. Yeah. Right, because if you even play this card on turn 1, turns 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not helping you play Atraxa at all. Which, Atraxa is not the only proliferate commander, I'm sure, but she is the main one since, she lets you... What is it? Does she let you proliferate twice? No, she lets you proliferate once. Okay. I'm thinking of the Contagion engine. So, still, she's quite good. Okay, so maybe what we want to do, can use the crystal counters from Prism Array. Oops. Prism Array is what I meant to say. Or the Simic Proliferate Legendary. Oh, Rolesque. Yeah. There we go. That's the one I was thinking of. Because, yeah, I know Contagion Engine's not a legendary creature, and I felt like there was a legendary creature that proliferated twice. So thank you for pointing that out, Cyber5. Okay. So I guess one thing that we want to do is just figure out our skeleton. Oh, Varel is fun. I do feel like he's like totally fair with this land. Yes, he can give you an insane amount of mana, but I'm sure that there's plenty of other ways that he can do that. And he takes a long time for that to happen. So, I feel like he's not a reason not to print our card, but just the fact that our card is potentially so breakable may be a reason not to go with it. Okay. So I'm thinking we might want to work on our... Nope. Wrong thing. There we go. On our case file skeleton, just so that we know exactly how many slots we have for everything. Okay, it looks like I already did it in here, so then I just need to make the cards. So it would help for me to be able to see how much space we have in here. Cladistics. I don't know what that means. Should I know what that means? A method of classification of animals and plants according to the proportion of measurable characteristics that they have in common. It is assumed that the higher proportion of characteristics that the two organisms share, the more recently they diverged from a common ancestor. Interesting. That's why the simic groups are called clades. Oh, yeah, just like Cenobite. That's another thing that I didn't realize was a real word. I always wondered with clade. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so we've got three mythics available for each color. Oh, sorry, we already have a blue one. Ah, yes, the planar die. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I did post on Mark Rosewater's blog. Last I checked, he still hadn't answered my question. Let's see. So it's possible he probably just didn't see it, since he gets more questions than he can answer. So I may just have to try again. Yeah, okay. I don't think that my question got answered. Okay. So I'll try again. See if we can get some clarity on whether time twister effects count as wheel effects for being in blue or red. Okay, so then we have, they've done D6 and D20, now make the players roll a D100. I mean, that's I guess an option. Two. 1 percentile dice, yeah. You know, I'm sure they'll get there eventually. Well, shoot, there's the new unset Unfinity coming out in a few months, and we know for a fact they said that there's a bunch of die rolling in it, so potentially we could get it as soon as April. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I really loved Unstable, so much so that it was like the first set cube that I made. So it's a lot of fun. I've actually seen a D100 in real life before. It's basically a giant golf ball. I think I've seen one too, but it's just so unwieldy. Yeah, full art Shocklands. Oh, man. It's just like Dragon's Maze, where like you can be excited in that you can find any Shockland in your pack just randomly. It's not like Dragon's Maze in that there's other reasons to be excited about the pack. Sorry, that was mean. Hold on. Sick burn on Dragon's Maze. You know, I have a lot of respect for Dragon's Maze. Because even though it was a failure as a set, they worked really hard. And there's a lot of clear like planning and organization that went into the design of that set. And I really like it. I know it didn't turn out great, but I honestly wish that they would try it again. Try doing all 10 guilds in one set again. Now that they don't have to worry about being a block, they can just do one set on its own. And now that it won't be in a small set, it'll be a big set, so there's more room for the stuff to breathe. I know it'll still be tight, but I would, I don't know. I think they should try. I mean, I'm happy if they don't go back to Ravnica for a while, because unlike most people, I don't really care for it that much. But when they do go back, because they will, because people love it, maybe just try one set. I feel like Kaldheim was kind of Dragon's Maze-esque. Yeah, you're not wrong. I definitely got that sense as well. They definitely went all in on, like... Not all in. They fleshed out all 10 color pairs and made them kind of gold. So, like, obviously it was not like a gold set, but there were a lot of gold cards and a lot of reasons to be in specifically 2 colors. So, I think I agree with you, Defiant Mars. I really liked Kaldheim as well. I agree, like, the people's criticism of the set is just there was too much in it, and I agree with that. But, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we still have a few good years, really. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they've done, like, 4 years between Innistrads recently. Maybe between Zendikars as well. So I think 4 is as low as they've gone recently. But, which would leave us fall of 2022, actually. Well, I guess if we're going full 4-year gap, it would be like springish of 2023. That would be 4 years since War of the Spark. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was still in Standard until... Wait, did it just rotate, or did it rotate the year before? I can't keep track of Standard anymore. No, it did not just rotate. Theros, Ikoria, and Eldraine just rotated. But still, Sorry, Ravnica's still in Standard? Oh, yeah. You may call time, sorry. You may not have caught when I switched gears and started talking about Ravnica again, so apologies. That was confusing. Yeah, so, I mean, my point was, it may feel like we were just in Ravnica because, like, even though, you know, the War of the Spark came out in, April of 2019, it was still in Standard for a year after that. And so, you know, it wasn't that long ago that we were still playing with the cards, I guess, is my point. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the no block structure. Let's make a set, have fun with it, see what we can do, make it awesome, not worry about making sure that all of the mechanics have legs to be in 3 sets, and just like trying out a new creative, like a new world every set. I don't know. I know it's a lot of work for them, but it's been really exciting for me. I do miss some things about block structure, but on the whole, I think it's been a really good change. Rare green. I wasn't around for it, but I would love a return to Tarkir where they go back to wedges. Oops. Yeah, I loved Tarkir. It was really cool. They had fun mechanics. And yeah, Khans of Tarkir was way cooler than Dragons of Tarkir. At Dragons of Tarkir, like, you couldn't play dragons. That's not true. But my pre-release, there was like 1 common dragon in the set. In my pre-release, I got 3 dragons total, and they weren't in the same colors. And I was like, well, I guess for Dragons of Tarkir, I'm not playing dragons. So I don't know. It was the dragon set, but it kind of failed on that front a little bit. And then it just wasn't as interesting creatively as Khans of Tarkir. So, well, they just tried wedges again, and it wasn't very popular, at least compared to the sets around it. Really? I thought Ikoria was great. Obviously, cycling was too pushed and limited. It was a problem. But aside from that, I really had fun with Ikoria. That said, I mean, I like most sets quite a bit. I'm relatively easy to please. Next time, all creatures will be dragons to make up for it. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it would be... Like, there was one common dragon, and it wasn't even good, I believe. That's not possible. No common dragons? I thought there was one. Not even that. The common dragon was actually in Fate Reforged, I believe. No common dragons in Dragons of Tarkir? I'm thinking of the one that, like, shuffles itself back into your library the turn you play it. Maybe it's Fate Reforged. Yeah, I was thinking Lightning Shrieker. Yeah, so Dragons of Tarkir has no common dragons. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like... I'm not super into dragons, so like I was much less interested in a dragon set in the first place, but I was like, I'm going to play dragons. I'm going to have a fun time. And then I couldn't. I don't know. It was sad. The LSL draft format also probably didn't help. Oh, large, small, large. Another reason for going away from blocks. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I really liked the 3-color that they did in Ikoria. I liked the 3-color that they did in Cons. They're doing wedges in Streets of New Capenna. Or sorry, they're doing shards in Streets of New Capenna, right? That should be exciting. Oh no. I'm supposed to change that. There we go. Though granted, now more people also want them to go back to blocks so that they can spend more time developing mechanics instead of just being one and done. Another case of the grass always being greener, really. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I do like when they develop mechanics more. Like, I'm really surprised that they just did Decayed for the one set. And not even just that they, like, it's fine if they did it for the one set, but I really expected an actual creature that you can cast that has Decayed on it instead of just being on zombie tokens and then the creatures that Gisa brings back. You know, it was surprising that they didn't try and develop it more. Maybe they'll develop it more next time they go to Innistrad, you know? But it was surprising. The Bolas core set made me more excited for a potential resurgence in the clans. Well, it's a downside mechanic, so they can't really do much with it. I agree, but I still think there could have been, like, a single creature that's like a 5/5 Decayed for 2. You know, it can't block. It can attack once, and that's it. You know, it's like a rare or something. I don't know if it's good. Maybe it has trample. Just something like that. I thought that would be, you know. There's not that much you can do with it, but there's more that you can do with it than what they did with it. So, I don't know. I expected a little more. Well, we have the case file, so yeah, we can do that. I mean, Decayed would definitely describe some paranormal monsters, so if we would like to do that, we sure can. Maybe they'll bring it back for Grixis when we return to Alara. Oh, that would work. Yeah, instead of Unearth. Let's see. Yeah, I wonder when that'll be. I'm sure there are a lot of sets to return to, and I'm not sure that Alara was ridiculously popular. But still, it feels like they'd go back at some point. Oh, what was that supposed to be? Well, if Capenna is shards, it might be a while. That's a good point. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed to be tricolor. I could be wrong about which set of tricolor. Sorry, I just had my caps lock on. It was originally going to be Streets of New Celesta, but now it's New Capenna. 3 colored factions. This doesn't specify. Oh, maybe they haven't confirmed which tricolors they are. It's just 3 color demon factions. If I had to guess, I would say it's shards because they did just do Ikoria. I mean, almost a couple years ago at this point, but still. Okay, so mythics, rares, uncommons, mythics, rares, uncommons, mythics, rares, uncommons, mythics, rares, uncommons, mythics, rares, uncommons. Sorry, this is just getting the skeleton down really helps me visualize things. Like how much space we have left. RZ01. The demon families are going to be Esper, Grixis, probably going to be Esper, Grixis, and Jund, since they all have black in them. Let's see. It says, trailing after a trip to Kamigawa like a detective with gumption, the following standard release takes us to the streets of New Capenna, a city with special significance to Elspeth, potentially her home plane, although we know that that was run by Phyrexians. So maybe not. Maybe she's just been there. Built by angels, now run by 3-color demon crime families. You're right. It never says that there are 5 3-color factions. It could be 3 3-color factions. So could be wedges, but only some of them. Could be that there are all 5 wedges, but only some of them are run by demons, and they're just generalizing. I think they said there were at least 3 demon families, though that doesn't mean the other 2 shards won't have representation in other ways. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. RZ01 would be white and blue. 4 would be red-green. Though it also kind of means every spring set does also have to be a faction set just to align with the main commander decks. Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, this year I guess we had Strixhaven, and last year Ikoria. I think having 5 shards or 5 wedges is probably easier. I know you can theoretically mix them, but it's pretty messy. It would be messy. More messy than mixing the 2-color factions like they do in Ravnica. Oh, did I not give any of these rare status? That's going to be a problem for me. I crunched that out once and it hurt my brain. Yeah, it gets real complex real quick. I've done the same thing. Okay, 1, 2. Make it a rare. Okay. And then I believe for the colorless, I did 2 mythics, 3 rares, and 3 uncommons. Okay. Guess it's artifact, but it's colorless. Maybe I just want these to say C on them. Because that could be artifacts or lands. Okay, rare colorless 02. We have an uncommon land 01. For now, I'll just make this a C as well so that it sits with the other ones. Will it sit with the other ones? No. Sorry, I know things are really slowed down. We can get back to designing if people would prefer. I've really not had much free time to be working on this, so unfortunately, I haven't been devoting as much time to it as I would like to, and this is some of the only time that I get for it, so apologies if it's not all quite as prepared as would be ideal. But if anybody has any ideas for anything that they would like to do, aside from just me doing some typing, feel free to let me know. I'm almost done, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is Neon Dynasty next for premiere sets? Yes, it is. Neon Dynasty is coming out in January. Then New Capenna is coming out in, it says second quarter of 2022. I'm pretty sure Neon Dynasty is confirmed to be. Isn't it February? Maybe it's February. I thought it was January. I could be wrong. So yeah, it just says first quarter. For some reason, I thought I saw something that said January. So February for Neon Dynasty. I would guess New Capenna is going to be in like late April. It can't be early April because that's when Infinity comes out. So get your ninjas. Oh, yeah. If you want to order some ninjas before they get expensive. Yeah, so New Capenna, I would assume, is late April or maybe early May. Dominaria United is the... Let's see. Is this the core set equivalent? Yeah, I think Dominaria United is the core set equivalent. So that would be like June? July? It says third quarter. I'll guess July, early third quarter. Oh, actually, they were rescheduling. The reason that they came out with an extra set this year, Crimson Vow, was to sort of change up when their schedule was going to be. So potentially potentially they're going to shift it all back a little bit. So February, when it would have ordinarily been January for the first set. So February, and then maybe more like late May, late July, early September, and then like late October, early November would be my guess. But of course, there's so many other products coming out, you know. So even though it feels like a long time between those sets, I'm sure they'll find ways to keep us busy. We are awash with content, yes. There we go. There's the release schedule. I think you skipped over the entirety of August there. What does something say, August? Looks like Jumpstart Historic Horizons is in August. Yeah. Oh, you said late July, early September. Oh, I see. Look, man, I know my months. The Lord of the Rings, yes, the Lord of the Ring thing is a full set, right? Lord of the Rings. Full Magic set release. You battle for the One Ring, scheme with Saruman, or journey to the heights of Mount Doom. Coming to tabletop, Magic Online and MTG Arena, plus 4 commander decks and special secret lair drops. So, the hyphen is important. Yeah, it could be anywhere in late July, early September, or anywhere in August. That's what I was trying to communicate. Oh, I forgot about that. Perhaps we see an edge mechanic in that case. That's what fighting for the One Ring sounded like to me. Monarch is dope. Yeah, back before Monarch came out in Conspiracy 2, my brothers and I had a set cube, or not a set cube. We had a cube that we had made. That was we called it King of the Hill because we had a King of the Hill card that was like, somebody starts with this and they get a bunch of benefits, and then when you deal combat damage to them, you take it. So like we basically designed the Monarch before it ever came out, and it was a lot of fun, and Monarch is too. So we had a bunch of other stuff too, like you gain some life every turn and something else and something else. There was a lot to it. I forget what all, but it was more than just you draw a card. I love Monarch. I wanted to turn it into a draft archetype for a custom set. That sounds cool. And that's where the lawsuits came in. Well, it's not. We were just playing it in our own home, okay? You can't arrest me for that. World enchantments. Ugh. Okay. So I guess do we want to potentially go over the stuff that I have, like, questionably cut from the case file? Well, it's not like cut from the case files, it's just not currently in the case files. Because we have a lot of stuff. I mean, I went over a lot of it and removed it. I don't know. You know what I want in the case files is a conspiracy. That said, if there's only one conspiracy, it might be a little unfortunate. We could have a cycle of conspiracies. Didn't we have something like that on the short list? 1 plus conspiracies, I mean. Find conspiracy. It's not on my to-do list, but I may have missed something. Would they all be mythic? They could. That could be fun. I'm a big fan of the interesting mythics. Like the mythic conspiracies. Monarch's good, but I love conspiracies. I thought we talked about that. Oh, we probably did. I know I mentioned that I wanted some, but I think that might have been before I started the to-do list. Okay. So I think Conspiracy did a good job of, like, hitting on a lot of the generic conspiracy ideas. So we might want to come up with, like, more colored ones. Late to the party, have we discussed alchemy yet? Nope, no alchemy has occurred. But now that you're here, you can turn our conversation to gold. The new digital exclusive MTGA format. Oh, I didn't know what that was. With new spoilers, I guess. No, I don't know really anything about that. It's so bad. Well, now we just have to discuss that. Took us all 3 days to go from Infinity to Alchemy spoilers. Okay, so it's launching with 63 new cards specifically designed for digital play. They're trying to turn Arena into Hearthstone. I see. They're rebalancing Magic cards. Rebalanced versions of existing standard cards to shake up the meta for digital play. That appears to be about it. Appear to derail the campaign. Huh. I hit digital exclusive and digital only erratas, but I've got to say a lot of the new digital exclusive designs are really cool. Would it be? Let's see if it's on Mythic Spoiler. My guess is it might not be on Mythic Spoiler. Yeah. Well, if you got a link to that stuff, I'm certainly willing to take a look at it. Don't worry, I was already tilting the train off the tracks with Tarkir, Kamigawa, and Capenna. There's a link to the spoiler gallery in that original article. Okay. Oh, there we go. Captain Aberhart. 1/1 double strike for 2. Spells cast from among cards you drew this turn cost 1 less to cast. Spells cast from among cards your opponents drew this turn cost 1 more to cast. Right, obviously you can't do that in paper because you can't prove which card you drew this turn. Counter target spell. Cards in your hand that share a card type with that spell perpetually gain. This spell costs 1 less to cast. Oh my. So there's just a lot of stuff that is perpetually, or that is just making things cost less that couldn't ordinarily, or doing things perpetually. Damage isn't removed from creatures your opponents control during cleanup steps. Whenever Torolf's Disciple attacks, conjure 4 cards named Lightning Bolt into your library, then shuffle. Wow. Whenever it attacks, guys. I mean, you do it too much, and all you're doing is drawing lightning bolts, but that's not the worst thing. Draft a card from Ishkana's Broodmother's spellbook? What's her spellbook? I haven't even played Arena since I mulled to 0. It's pretty bad, Mars. Passes vanilla test, has haste, and increases the chances you draw finishing burn in your mono red aggro. Yeah, seems real good. Spellbooks are at the bottom of the spoiler page. Alright, let's jump down. Ishkana's spellbook includes the following cards. Just real spider cards. Twin Silk Spider, Drider, Broodweaver, Glowstone Recluse, Knotfold Recluse, Hatchery Spider. So I guess pretty much all the spiders that are already on Arena. Makes sense. Ominous Traveler has a spellbook of... what does it do? 1/1 for 2, ETB, draft a card from its spellbook. That card perpetually gains. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast the spell, and when you cast the spell, return a creature named Ominous Traveler you control to its owner's hand. So it's like somebody scary masquerading as... okay, it's a vampire. It's a vampire. Or a wolf. Could be a wolf. Oh, but maybe it's a spirit. Okay, so it's one of the Innistrad monster types. So you can use it in, like, those tribal decks. Forsaken Crossroads. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it does, choose a color. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. If you weren't the starting player, you may untap Forsaken Crossroads instead. Tap to add 1 mana of the chosen color. Huh. I mean, Hollow Knight has an entire civilization. Oh, that's a good point. There's a lot of lore in that game. It ignores color requirements for the cards, so it's an awesome splash. Yeah, that card does seem real good. Especially because then you can cast it again. And then turn it into something else. So, it's currently only 2 spellbooks. Doesn't seem that bad. It just seems like a side mode to standard for the time being. I'm intrigued but not eager to play it. I don't even play standard, which is like, I generally enjoy playing standard, but I don't know. On Arena, it's not the same. I just really like making paper decks for standard, and so I probably won't end up playing Alchemy either. I just draft on Arena. Do a lot of drafting. Who'll begin anew seems awesome though. Creature cards in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. Where's the aura that's just perpetually stays on the creature no matter where it goes? Like, it doesn't really hurt anyone playing on paper anyways. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think that this format's for me, but I don't hate that it exists. If people want to play it, more power to you. Have fun. So, The only thing I'm not a fan of is the idea they want to balance the cards only on that format, but doesn't actually errata cards. The standard rebalances might be problematic. Yes. I hear you, MacMoose. So cards that are bad in paper just get banned or stay bad. The problem is, like, functional, like, changing the way a card works is potentially the only thing worse than banning it. Like, you have to really judge whether that's worth it, because you want your cards to do what they say they do. Also, managing 3 copies of a single card in your collection sounds obnoxious. It sure does. I'm not interested in that, but I guess to be fair, I like to just like collect everything possible. So like if I were going to play this format, I would probably just be like, okay, I'd look at all the cards and then I'd say, what do I really want to build? And then I would just get the cards for that deck. I wouldn't try and collect 4 copies of every Alchemy card. And that would ease the burden of trying to manage an extra collection. So that's all the rebalances they've announced. Alren's Epiphany. Oh. So instead of costing less when you foretell, it makes birds when you foretell. Potentially, that's just how it should have been in the first place. Essica's Chariot. Crew 2, but it only makes 1 cat when it enters. So I like how Essica's Chariot gets more balanced by decreasing the crew cost. Now what I mean is the rebalanced cards are separate to the original in your arena collection. Yeah. Sorry, I guess I didn't really respond to that specifically. The rebalanced cards are separate, but I do believe that it said that if you have the original card, then you have that many copies as well of the rebalanced cards. So I don't think that you'll have to recollect them. So one of the cats in the art needs to go. Yeah, that's weird that they wouldn't get rid of that. Faceless Haven. It only becomes a 3/3 instead of a 4/4. Or a 4/3. Goldspan Dragon. Okay, doesn't make a treasure when you target it. Luminarch Aspirant triggers on the end step, not on the combat step. Yeah, these rebalances make a lot of sense. No, but if they keep rebalancing, you could have a single set with 1,000 cards. It would be horrible to look through. Can't you just filter out things like that? Wouldn't there potentially be an option for filtering out rebalanced versions of cards from a set? Okay, Omnath costs 5 mana and only scries instead of drawing when it enters. Cosmos Elixir. Got better. Gain 2 life and scry 1. Sup nom 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 nom. I mean, wouldn't it get horrible to look at no matter what eventually with the perpetual sets being released? I think maybe the Mechmoose's point is that the rebalanced cards will show up if you're just looking at one set, you know? If you just look at your Kaldheim, you'll see Goldspan Dragon and Goldspan Dragon and Faceless Haven and Faceless Haven. But I think you might be able... I would think that you'd be able to filter those out. Demi-Lich... Okay, so that's interesting. They're also pushing some cards a little bit farther. Cards that are almost good enough. I mean, we see that already with reprints in different sets. Yeah, I mean, I agree these digital-only cards are not pretty to look at, but... Yeah, so I don't think the format's for me, but that's okay. I don't think I will have a problem with it. I don't think it'll bother me. And so if other people enjoy it, I say more power to them. I guess it wouldn't have a mana cost, would it? Okay, so for conspiracies, you can start with them face up in the command zone, and they just like change the way that you do something from the get-go. I'd say it seems interesting to look into. I don't play Arena too much, not by choice, but just because the laptop I'm currently using is very low end. That's fair. Yeah, I've got a decent gaming computer. It's a little old by this point, so it does freeze up occasionally. But I don't know. I like Magic a lot. I mostly prefer to play in paper. So it turns out drafting I can still do and have fun with online, although I would prefer in person. But Constructed's not the same. I just don't enjoy it as much. Wow, the frame looks good with colors. It really does. It's beautiful. I don't even mind the colorless ones, but yeah, the colored ones are cool. Secret agendas, though. Yeah, so Mechmoose, that's a potential problem, is secret agendas. So if we were to make a secret agenda conspiracy, we would need to have multiple secret agenda conspiracies, because if there's only one, then everybody knows which one you have. It's not a secret. So we don't have to do secret agenda. So there's these public ones, and then there's hidden agenda. Start with it face down in the command zone, and this hidden agenda ones always have you name a card. You may turn this conspiracy face up anytime and reveal the chosen name. Yeah, I also agree that like the flavor of conspiracies really, really makes me want to make them hidden agenda, or double agenda, or whatever. Because if they're just face up, open, it's like, oh, some conspiracy. I think we need to make like 4 and choose for them to all be face down or face up. I think that's reasonable. So somebody suggested a cycle of mythics. We don't have to do that. We could just make them all colorless. But I do think that if there's one colored, a cycle of 5 colored ones makes sense. I may have just said it makes sense twice. But that's how strongly I feel about it. Or 6. Yeah, 1 of each color plus a colorless one. 5 plus colorless. Excellent. So yeah, then there's hidden agenda, which starts face down and you name a card, and this affects that card particularly. Or there's, I think, yeah, there's double agenda, which is start with it face down and name 2 different cards. And then, so it's basically hidden agenda, but you just get to pick 2 cards instead of 1. And that's it. All of them start face up or face down. Obviously, there's only 2 states. But all of them are just face up and sort of give you a fun bonus, or they start face down and name a card, and your conspiracy cares specifically about that card or those 2 cards. Or we could even change it. We could make up our own new conspiracy mechanic, some new type of agenda where it cares about a type of card instead of the card name itself. Maybe it could be something that limits you to the basic land type of each color. Ooh, so these would be a reason to be monocolored. I kind of like that. That's different build-arounds. We don't have many reasons to be monocolored in the set. Cards in a state of quantum flux. Schrodinger's conspiracy. He both is and is not plotting against you. So then if we wanted to go face up, the cycle could just be, you may only call the monocolor payoff conspiracy keyword partisan support. I like that they give you a benefit plus a downside. Okay. That's funny. It thinks that it's the support mechanic. Okay, yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion, is monocolor conspiracies. Okay, you may begin. Thank you. You may begin the game with this conspiracy face up in the command zone. If you do, you can only cast white spells this game. Excellent. Should we say white and colorless? This needs a bit of tweaking to make it color modular. Yeah, like we could name it partisan support white. This technically doesn't stop you from splashing dual color spells. That is a good point, MechMoose, and I think that's okay. Okay, Sorcerer says that's intentional. I feel like they've done a mechanic like this, and just the color of the card changed what the mechanic did. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm thinking Chroma. Although maybe that's not a good example, because the new version of Chroma does specify what color. Yeah, Chroma. It doesn't mention in here the color. It just says blah, 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 equal to the number of red mana symbols. You assume that it's red because the card is red. But, yeah, maybe that's not a good example because the new version of Chroma, which is Devotion, does specify color. I mean, we could just say white support, partisan support, white. That's kind of a mouthful. Tweak name to restrict to color. We can fix that later. So then, what bonus does this give you for only casting white and colorless spells? At the beginning of your end step, phase out any number of permanents. That you control. I worry about just including phasing at random. Like, they've done it in the past couple sets. Not in Crimson Vow, but in AFR and Midnight Hunt, they just included, like, 2 cards each, and that had that phased stuff out. And it was just, like, so confusing. It's like, if you're going to have those cards do it, why not just exile? Blink Dog made sense, because that way it doesn't lose all of its equipment, which was the whole point of the card. But otherwise, it's like, it's a really steep complexity when they have lower complexity terminology they could have used. Probably non-planeswalker. Phase out any number of non-planeswalker permanents you control. Because you can't blink your tokens as well as your aura/equipment creatures, which are both in white. Plus, white is a color that likes to flicker most of the time. Right. So the only reason that I didn't just immediately suggest changing this to flicker your stuff is because we're not doing flicker in this set because it's broken with undercover. So then we... So phasing would be the option if this is the design that we want to go with. I guess we could flicker any number of white permanents you control. That wouldn't be broken with undercover. Phasing is just another protection option being given to white when needed. Yeah, I just don't necessarily think it's a good option to just include at random. Like, including it in, the expert level sets, the master sets, supplemental stuff like that, where a lot of the people playing are more invested, or at least they already know that there's going to be a lot of complexity, and so they're prepared for that. But just tossing it on a couple... Like, phasing is super complex. There are so many rules questions that come up with phasing. In Midnight Hunt, I had a couple of friends playing against each other, and one of them had the mythic, the blue spirit that phased out a bunch of the opponent's stuff, and it affected the day-night cycle. And so it's like, well, which happens first? Does stuff phase back in first, or does day-night change first? And it was actually quite relevant. So, honestly, in concept, it's not really that complex to really understand, and they're usually at higher rarities anyways. I disagree that it's not that complex to really understand. I think it's not that complex to understand the basics, but I think that you may be underestimating how hard it is for a lot of newer players to get. Even as an experienced player who's used phasing before, there were a lot of questions that came up that was like, I just don't know the answer to that. I have to look that up. We had to get a judge, even though we had like 5 experienced players in the room. We didn't know. If they don't print them with more regularity, though, white won't get a critical mass of them for sets like Commander, though. So I don't know how to feel about it. That's fair. I guess the question is, where are they printing them? Can they just print them in Commander sets? Or Master sets? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't like them in Premier sets, but... Well, you make it sound like other rules interactions don't cause the same amount of confusion, too. I think that phasing causes substantially more. I think phasing is clearly a lot more complicated than a lot of other things in the game. And so to argue, well, other stuff is complicated too, is to sort of do a disservice to my argument, which is that this one thing is way too complex to just be throwing about. Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but I had an idea for the blue one. Style, specific, conspiracy. Just give all your stuff protection. Well, ward. I just mean that it needs enough to have it considered as a regular mechanic rather than a bunch of one-offs that it sometimes gets. That's what tertiary is. Yeah, and just like to give white the option, like enough options for phasing things in their decks. Because you don't expect that every card that does a thing is going to be good in your deck of that color, but if you have enough options in that color to pick from, then you can find a couple that are good for your deck specifically. So yeah, just getting the pool up large enough. Well, there's also not really any way to tell if it is truly more complex than other mechanics or not unless we actually interview a sizable amount of players, really. Okay, man. Is it more complicated than Mutate? No. I think we can all agree that Mutate's quite complicated, very complex. But I would have also said that we could agree about phasing being very complex. So maybe we're just not going to make much progress in this argument. Whenever you would draw a card, look at the top two cards of your library instead. Put one on the bottom of your library and the other in your hand. Oof, that's very good. But it is more exciting than just all my stuff is protected. Whenever you would draw a card, look at the top two cards of your library. So, yeah, anytime you would draw, you just get to pick from the top two cards instead. Super strong, but awesome. You must ditch one of them as well, so drawing two cards you want could be bad. Isn't this slightly problematic because it prevents milling out? Also, you no longer trigger abilities that are based on drawing. Yeah. Yeah, you could be right. So stuff like the Mythic from Guilds of Ravnica. Underrealm Lich. This does the same thing, but the difference being you can kill this. I mean, it's hard, They can pay for life to give it indestructible, but it can die. It can go away. This cannot. You play this, you will never mill. Guaranteed. It could be like, if you would draw a card, scry one, then draw a card instead. Yeah, sorry, you can run out of cards, but you will never lose the game from decking. All good, Mech Moose. That said, this is also very powerful. Just getting to pick your draw every turn? Should probably be more of a draw step limited ability. I see. I forget how they word that. Just scry 2 on your upkeep? Oh, that would work. Maybe whenever you draw a card, scry once. You would scry after. After you draw. That's more balanced than scrying before you draw every single time. Setting up for the next draw. Not quite as good since you won't know what you'll need by then, but a lot more balanced, yeah. By having to plan in advance. But at least that's what blue is all about. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Okay, well, we're coming up on 3 hours of streaming, so I'm going to need to get off here. But, well, it's been a nice night. It's been pretty chill. We spent a while just sort of talking about the last couple years worth of sets. But we did design some cool stuff. Long-term strategy, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really like these conspiracies. I know that we've only come up with one that we're super solid on as of yet. The white one needs some work. The red one could add 1 to all damage you do. That sounds ridiculously powerful. But you know, they are also all balanced by the fact that you are monocolored. Mostly, you can play signpost cards, gold cards with your color. I don't know where I put my card idea from Tuesday. Oh well, next week I guess, or I'll put it in the Discord. Yes, definitely feel free to drop stuff in the Discord. I think we're definitely going to want to cover the rest of the conspiracies for our next session. So if you get ideas for those, drop those in the Discord. Draw. Thank you. 1 or more cards. Scry 1. Good call. Thank you. Yep. So, and then we got a lot of stuff designed potentially for the case files, like grandeur stuff, partner stuff, that we're not decided on whether we like them yet or not, like whether they're good enough for the case files. So, yeah, we came up with a lot of cool designs. Not sure how many will end up seeing the light of the case files, but I think the Discord link broke, by the way. Oh, no. That's unfortunate. Can somebody post a link to the Discord? I still have not fixed my streaming platform, so I cannot actually even post in my own chat. I was going to do it today, and then I had too much else to do today, and so then I didn't. But I still didn't even get the last stream VOD uploaded because I with the technical issues, I had to actually edit the thing together instead of just straight uploading it, and that takes a lot more time on my part. So, thank you very much, MechMoose. Looks right to me. Took me to at least log in with Discord. Let us know if that works for you. But all right, thank you so much, everybody, for coming in, sharing your ideas, and just hanging out, talking about magic. I actually, even when I haven't prepped that much, and so I don't have that much to talk about, and it's just kind of slow, I just really enjoy talking about the magic stuff, the magic news. There's always more news because they're always releasing more stuff. So just thanks all for hanging out. I've really appreciated it. So I hope to see you all again soon. And then username, if that link doesn't work for you, I think you can find our Discord on our YouTube, potentially. If the one on our Twitch is broken, I'll talk to Jason about that and see about getting that fixed. So, okay, good. Glad to hear it. In that case, I will see you all hopefully on Monday. Have a great night or